The trick consists in taking a look at the transverse process. Okay, we're looking at all the aspects of the of a vertebrae, the body, okay, the pedicle, okay, from here to here, pedicle, the lamina from here to here. So, and it forms this arc containing this foramen here. That's the vertebral foramen. That's where the spinal cord goes through it. Okay. And you have the superior articular facet. Okay. And then you have the inferior articular facet there. This is for the lower vertebrae, and the superior is for the upper vertebrae. And then you have the spinous process, okay. The transverse process, not lateral process, transverse process. Okay. So, all right. So that is in general the parts of the vertebrae. But then, how do we know which one is that? So always take a look first at the transverse process. If you see a hole in there, which is the transverse foramen, then it's cervical. This is a cervical.
What goes through the transverse foramen?
It goes at the vertebral arteries and vertebral veins.
Okay.
Vertebral arteries will reach the brain at the stem, at the brain stem, and it will meet with blood coming from the internal carotids. Okay. So that is that. So cervical. And then if you look at the transverse process and you don't see an opening there, that is the vertebral transverse foramen, then you can rule out the cervicals, and the only thing you got left is the either thoracic or a lumbar. So all you have to do is look if the thoracic has costal facet. Feel it. Come, put your finger here.
It's like flat.
Soft depression. It's a soft depression. You feel it?
Yeah.
It's a soft depression there. Okay. So that is the costal facet. If it has a costal facet, then this is a thoracic vertebrae.
And the costal facet articulates with the ribs?
With the head of the rib. No, with the tubercle of the ribs.
Okay.
With the tubercle of the rib. Of course, it has the other costal facet, the inferior and the superior, where the head of the ribs will articulate. The head of the ribs articulate not like here, but like here. That means in between two vertebrae.
Okay.
Imagine that this is the head of the rib. It articulates there in between two vertebrae. So let's say that articulates here. And then the tubercle, which will be here, it will come back here and articulates with the transverse facet there. You see? So with the transverse costal facet of the inferior vertebra. You follow me, guys?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if it happens to be that you have a vertebrae that in the transverse process has no openings there, and there is no costal facet there, and there is no costal facet, feel it. It's rough, and it's not depression. Okay. Feel it. So then, therefore, if it has no opening, then you can rule out cervical. If it has no transverse costal facet, then you rule out the thoracic. Therefore, this is a lumbar, and you can see the big body that it has, the lumbar, and you see the transverse process. The spinous process is like a hatchet, broad and short. Okay. All right. So that is how we distinguish the three. And then, out of the cervicals, the two important ones are the atlas and the axis. Okay, and the atlas, the exception is that it has no body. Then it's not that there is no body; it's like there is no body, no vertebral body. Okay, and the axis has the dens, which is this pointing thing.
D-E-N-S?
D-E-N-S.
Okay.
Dens, okay, also known as the odontoid process. And the dens, basically, it is like the body of the atlas, okay, and articulates like that. This is a pivotal joint. Pivotal joint. So it's a synovial joint. It allows you to move your head like this when you are saying no. Okay. Notice also another thing that I didn't mention is notice the bifurcation of the spinous process.
It's bifurcated only on the cervical.
Only
right?
in the cervicals.
Okay.
Only in the cervicals. Okay. We call that bifid spinous process. Okay, here is the superior articular facet. Here is the inferior articular facet. Here is the transverse foramen. So everything is there. Tells you that this is cervical.
So for these, are you gonna more than likely ask us to differentiate them, or are you gonna ask a specific
Parts of
parts?
both.
Both. Okay.
Both. I can also put a station containing the atlas and the cervical like this. And then I will ask you about that joint.
Okay.
It's just synovial.
Synovial. Pivotal.
Multi. Bye.
Bye.
And
Okay.
are these just like irregular bones?
These are irregular bones,
Irregular.
correct. So if I put there and then I don't ask you to identify, I ask you to tell the classification by shape, then it's irregular bone.